Thomas Cashman guilty of the murder of Olivia Pratt-Korbel at her home in Liverpool last August. A story we'll all remember, of course. Guilty, in fact, on all 5 counts that he faced. The first charge, the murder of Olivia Pratt-Korbel, a charge of attempted murder of the intended target that night, according to the prosecution, wounding with intent of Olivia's mother, Cheryl, who was shot through the hand. The bullet that passed through her hand was the one that fatally wounded Olivia, and 2 charges of firearms possession as well. The jury went out at about 12 o'clock yesterday, so 4 hours of deliberation yesterday, another 3 today, and they've come back with those verdicts. Certainly for Olivia's family, who have been in court throughout this trial, there will be a significant sense of relief, as you can imagine. Guilty on all charges. Thomas Cashman, our crime correspondent, Martin Brunt, is with me, and the jury convinced by that prosecution case, Martin.
Yes, and it wasn't the strongest prosecution case. There was no forensic evidence. There was nobody who saw what happened and could identify Thomas Cashman. And for a long time, police found it difficult to get the evidence that detectives normally strive for in these kind of cases. But eventually they did find evidence. People did come forward. I was talking to somebody from Crime Stoppers a couple of days ago who said that because of that big reward, £200,000 eventually, that a phenomenal amount of information did eventually come in. Cashman, we know, was arrested within about, 2 weeks of the shooting, but then was released on bail, and it was another nearly a month before he was rearrested and then charged. It's difficult to know what part the £200,000 reward played, but clearly it did persuade some people to come forward with information. But of course, the key witness in this was the woman who Cashman had had an on-off fling with. She came forward very quickly and gave what I think must have proved the crucial evidence against him by saying that sometime quickly after the shooting, Cashman turned up at her house, asked for a change of clothes, and most crucially of all, she says that she overheard him on the phone saying, "I've done Joey," a reference that the prosecution said was a reference to him shooting Joseph Nee, who was the first man who was shot and then pursued, and then the last shot was the one that went through the door of the Korbel family and hit and killed Olivia. So that crucial evidence, I think, must have played a vital part in the jury's deliberations. The other evidence from the prosecution, circumstantial, not direct evidence, but it was all about Cashman's movements on the day before the day of the shooting, passing several times the house where he thought Joseph Nee was going to be, and was later that evening where he was followed from that house. But the prosecution case was that Cashman was looking for Joseph Nee to shoot him, which is what he did some hours later. Cashman was shown to be wearing similar clothing to the gunman. He was found to have dismantled CCTV at his own home a couple of days after the shooting. Prosecution said this was so that his movements couldn't be tracked. He disposed of his own phone 2 days before the shooting. Again, said the prosecution, this was evidence of a man planning to do a shooting and trying to get rid of any evidence that might point to his guilt subsequently.
You mentioned that arrest, and I think we have some video now that the police have released, body camera footage from one of the officers involved in that arrest of Thomas Cashman at his home in Runcorn. We can play that now for you.
Come on, Dad! I'm on your hands! Show your hands! Get your hands behind your head!
My hands are in the air.
What's your leg, fella?
I've got nothing on me.
Put your hands behind your head.
Okay, there you go.
Stay where you are. Do exactly what you're told. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? What's it for? For one. What have I done? What have I done? Tell you now. Go on. Put your knees up to your chest. Put your knees up to your chest. Sit on your ass. Stand up. What have I done? Go on.
You said you'll tell. I'm not racist. I ain't racist on one little bit. I just want to know what I've done. That's all. All I want to know is what I'm arrested for. Tell me what I'm arrested for. Oh, Nelly, okay.
You're under arrest on suspicion of murder and a suspicion of attempt murder twice. All right, you do not have to say anything. But in my army's defence, we don't mention my question. Something which you may later line in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. All right, you've been arrested for the prompt and effective investigation of the offence.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah,
You need to be interviewed about it.
I haven't committed no offence. I haven't committed no offence what you're talking about.
All right.
Lift them up a little minute.
None whatsoever.
So that body camera footage there of the arrest of Thomas Cashman at his home a couple of weeks after the death of Olivia, that body camera footage was shown to the jury during the course of this trial. It was a huge and extremely complex investigation, as Martin Brunt was saying, where the police had very little forensic evidence, for example, and a huge team of officers dealing with an investigation that, of course, aroused massive public interest, not just in Liverpool, but around the country. And for the investigating team and the senior investigating officer, Detective Superintendent Mark Baker, this will be a moment of huge relief after that investigation.
I'm pleased we got justice for them after all this length of time. I mentioned before the dignity they showed through the course of the trial, particularly Cheryl, having to relive the incident again, must have been unbelievable. I will never know, and nor will any member of the investigation team, what she had to go through. And that's the same for father as well, Dad John. The pair of them, we'll never understand exactly what they've gone through, and nor should we even try. And I've been in police nearly 30 years, so have colleagues. Probably never been involved with anything quite like that, if I'm going to be honest. The circumstances around it were just abhorrent. She was cowering behind her mum because she was scared in her own home. You always feel as though you're safe in your own house. I think, as an investigation team, we could not believe that the gunman would continue to shoot into the house. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that before. People have been shot on the street. But when he pursued Joseph Nee into the house, particularly that fourth shot that went through the front door, he will have heard her scream. We can hear it, as the jury did. And then he's gone into the house again and continued to shoot. I think that act really shocked all the investigation team and the whole community. That was a rise in recklessness that probably we've never seen before. As an investigation team, we did feel the pressure. You can't not, because we all live and work in Merseyside. Merseyside's a very, very small place. And wherever you turned, people were talking about this. We were very focused as an investigation team. We were supported from by the whole of law enforcement, because such was the outrage that this crime and investigation generated. The community had been disgusted by his actions. They've been in fear of him for a long, long time. He will know himself and had to carry that responsibility. He couldn't own up to it. His family and some of his associates will also look at themselves and wonder whether they could have done anything more.